social media, can we create positive spaces on social media, and do we think it's toxic?
And like you said, TikTokicity, which I thought was quite a good little phrase.
If you have a private social media account that just has your friends and family on, you're less likely to be subjected to that toxicity.
Inspiration Nation, hello, Lee Kemp here for another week on the podcast. Here as always with my very warm friends, Jose Noya and Ryan Boniface. How are we doing, guys?
Warm.
Very hot. Coming in hot, aren't we? We're coming in hot. Very hot.
Literally. We always, this comes out at the end of the week. As people know, we are on TikTok. Just follow Joe, _Inspiration Nation. I always need to squint at my phone just to double check I get that right every week, Joe. Follow on TikTok and you can see us as we record live on a Tuesday. We're a little bit earlier today because we're getting ahead of holidays and there will be a double header. So when you listen next week, it will be pre-recorded. Hopefully no large world events happen that throw us off next week in our preamble. But we are recording on the hottest day ever in the UK. It's a little bit warm. Joe looks okay. Joe, you'll be proud. I just had a cold shower before we started recording to cool myself down.
There you go.
Not sure if it counts
I love
today,
that.
really, because it didn't even feel cold, to be honest.
No, I bet. The trick is doing it in the middle of winter.
And warm Ryan there looks overjoyed to be recording on this hottest day of the year so far.
I did ask to postpone.
But we're pushing on anyway. It's right. I've got to smile at him. Everything's good. Thank you, everyone out there. We hope you enjoyed the hottest days of the year so far that would have been and gone by the time you hear this. Follow us over on Twitter at ListenToIN, listen TOIN. Much like Joe on TikTok, we're on a little march on our Twitter to get the followers up. So if you drop us a follow, we would greatly appreciate that. And of course, check us out on all podcast platforms, YouTube, and just stick Jose Noya Inspiration Nation into that Google machine. Right, Joe, I'm going to throw the baton of conversation over to you to start us off.
Oh, okay.
You had a subject ready, so I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, lovely. That's fine. Yeah, I've got one ready. So as the people on TikTok will know, you lovely people on TikTok, you know that I'm all about creating positive spaces on social media, and that's what this is about. Is social media, can we create positive spaces on social media, and do we think it's toxic? Do we think there's toxicity? And how do you feel? I think I want to get this from a personal perspective, from your perspective, Ryan and Lee, Hot Kemp we've got there and on the description there, as to what do you think of social at the moment? You know, what's your experience of it? You know, as you use it, because you guys use it, I use it a lot, as you know. So when I do my lives on TikTok, my mission is to obviously to create a positive space on social. But obviously my other mission is to create 10,000 followers, right? So we can have a place where people can come to, can share their challenges, can share their successes, and actually have a group of people where we're supporting each other instead of tearing each other down, which at the minute, TikTok appears to be a bit like that. And I'm gradually changing it. The community is coming in lovely. There's some really supportive people that are coming in, which is fantastic. And that's all I could ever ask. But it is a challenge for TikTok, and it's a challenge for our community to stay positive, especially when there's some toxicity. So that's really what I'm going to get at. Do we think it from a personal perspective, whether we think social media is positive, or do you think it's quite toxic? And I've seen both ends of this, so I'm going to throw it over to you before I actually put my view across. So over to you guys. I'm just going to throw the ball over.
There's a little comment you made there, Joe, and it sounded like you said TikTokicity, which I thought was quite a good little phrase.
Nice.
Ryan, as the more social media literate one of us, because you grew up in the generation, I was thrust into it later in life. What are your thoughts?
Both. So long and short of that answer, I think it is both. It depends what you look for. Depends what areas of social media you get into. Depends how deep you dive into that world and anything around it. It's it can be and is both. Also depends on what you take away from it, or take away from social media. It kind of just is what it is. You know, if you have a private social media account that just has your friends and family on, you're less likely to be subjected to that toxicity. But if you're in the main frame in front of everyone, then you open yourself up for that. I'm not saying that anyone deserves to receive that, but you open yourself up for internet trolls, and there's countless evidences of people getting trolled online and having abuse online for the past, I don't know, 15 years now. So it can't come as a shock to anyone that it happens. And I think it's one of those things. If you take a job working in a kitchen, you're going to assume you're going to get burnt. And if you take a job or take a hobby posting on social media, then you're going to assume to get some kind of toxicity thrown at you, or at least see it in the flesh there and there.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Ryan. I think all your points are absolutely valid, and I'll throw it over to Lee whilst we're doing it. But I want to pick up on a couple of points after that.
What's
But
this,
yeah,
Joe? You
I
don't
really
do the throwing over. I do the throwing over. So on Joe's behalf, I'll throw it over to Lee. As you know, Joe, I mean, when I was in my early 20s, getting on to mid 20s, was when Facebook came about. And I remember people at work,
which was
being like,
30 years ago.
You need you need to get on Facebook. And it was as things, I don't even know, I'm going to say like TikTok potentially are. That was the cool one to be on. You got things like, Friends Reunited started it, then the kiddie ones like Bebo, you had MySpace, which was more of a kind of creator space, and then Facebook was then the social hub, and maintained that position for a long time until it kind of competition started to step in with TikToks and Vines first, I think it was, something like that. Twitter obviously was the one who really started to take away and ebb away at their space. And I didn't really do a lot on Facebook, and it was because of this. And there's early episodes where Joe was badgering me that I need to get on Twitter to support the podcast. I now have like 4 different Twitter accounts for various different reasons. So I didn't just get on there, I got on there. And I would say, and what I talked about this in previous episodes, I guess, Instagram is one I don't really do a lot on, but you see a lot of similarities between stuff you see on Instagram and Twitter, I'd say. And there's 2 sides to what you could call toxic kind of content. One is like you talk, the trolls, the bullying, that sort of stuff. And I think the second is the glorifying of X, whatever that may be. And I think I said to you, Joe, and we talked about this a while ago, when I first got into Instagram, there was a lot that was really, it's like, if you are not being constructive and productive for every minute from 5 a.m. in the morning till 10 o'clock when you go to bed, you are wasting your life. I make X amount of money and I drive a Ferrari because I get up at 5 and I do this and I do this and I do this and I do. And it was really quite, almost driving a guilt that if you're not always doing something, you're failing kind of message, which did get into my head for quite a while. And then I stepped back from. So there's a lot of, I think, probably, a large percentage of fake stories as well, but kind of glorifying or pressuring lifestyles or ways of being or those sort of things outside of just as you know, Joe, as you got it early on, the poo content, shall we say it, comments and things like that you'd get. So I think there's a lot of it there, and it comes down to how you look and you moderate it. For myself, personally, I find it now a positive experience. I do the Twitter for the podcast. There is loads and loads of positive stuff that gets positive comments and people supporting each other. And I see a load of that going on because that's the theme of what we do, and it pushes more that content that way. I've got one that I look at for my my first love in life, of course, professional wrestling. We've talked about this before. At Lee's Rest Twit. If you're interested, look up Lee's Wrestling Thoughts and you can follow me over there. And again, it's generally a positive space. There's a few people I've chat with on there and exchange messages that I've met online. There's banter that goes on a little bit, but I don't generally see a lot of what I'd call overly negative stuff. And actually, that's my kind of chill out space to go to now when I look for stuff. So I think if you use it in the right way, it can be very, very positive. I've got some other thoughts, but I'll pause for a breath, Joe, and kind of you can amalgamate our thoughts. And as the king of social media, 30,000 Twitter followers on the way to 10K on TikTok, let us know what you think.
I wouldn't say the king. I would just say I'm learning all the time. But thank you, Lee. No, yeah. I want to pick up on a couple of points, actually. I think what Ryan said about you get what you look for, with you have some people, family and friends that you just sort of circle it off and you just have it for those people. Yeah, and Ryan's absolutely right where, if you go, and I've experienced it, you go live on TikTok or live on any platform and you get it, you get trolls, you get people trying to get a rise out of you. And it goes with territory, absolutely right. It goes with the territory that if you're going to go live, you're going to get stuff. And I suppose my mission is to try and lessen that so people can have a space where they can actually be quite open. And I've had lives where people have been pretty open about the stuff that they're going through, mental health, all that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm being very honest about where I've been with my, mental health as well. And I think, encouraging that, is hopefully going to weed out the ones that aren't great, the trolls and they won't be interested. That's what I'm hoping. And that we get the people that really gravitate towards the message, come in and create a community where we can really support each other and really, encourage each other to reach for our dreams. Like we've got Clarkey officials just sending